What's up, everyone? Steven here from Techmaker Studio. In this episode, we're going to try to finally wrap up the very basic integration of our smart contract with the React app that we've been building. Before we jump into it, though, I want to make a small announcement about the channel. If you've been following along with this series, you probably noticed we've got a little new intro video on this. So what we're trying to do is split up some of the content that we're creating into basically a few different shows. So what we're going to have going forward is Techmaker Workshop, which is going to be this, essentially just kind of a free-flowing, working through problems together kind of show. The time limit on it, I was trying to do like 10-15 minutes. Doesn't really work that well for some of this. Sometimes it's gone as long as an hour and a half even in some crazy cases. I kind of want to just have a space where I can just work through problems, and because that's kind of the unique thing about the channel, in my opinion, is it's not prefabricated tutorials. It's me working through things that I don't necessarily always know, and it's more real life coding. So that's something I want to maintain. So we're going to have that. We're going to have these 10-minute tutorials, which are going to be more shorter to the point clips. And then we're going to have this Techmaker tips thing, which tends to be more just like how to do different things in crypto. We may go into some different directions with that. We're trying to figure out how to expand and grow the channel. We've hired people who work with us now. So yeah, lots of new stuff coming. Just kind of wanted to give you a quick update. Also, the game plan, I'm several videos ahead right now, which is new for me. I've kind of batched a bunch of video creation, and now we're dripping them out every day at 9 a.m. Eastern. So you can basically look for these. The plan is 7 days a week, new workshops coming out, 9 a.m. Sorry for the confusion. 9 a.m. every day, but 7 days a week. So yeah, hopefully that helps us start to grow and get a little bit more professional over here. Anyway, all that said, let's jump into where we left off. So essentially, the only thing left to do for the very basic integration here is I want to list out all of the owned. I want to list out all the owned NFTs in a table. So we have our current supply up here. Which is cool. Let's come over and look at what we would need to do to actually make a table. So we could actually just drop a table right here, and maybe that's what we'll do. Basically just have a table, and then we'll have a TR with the headings in it, and we'll just have ID. Let's actually do this. Let's say token ID, and then below that we'll have another header for the owner address, like so, and then we just need to basically circle through all of the NFTs and list the owner. So how do we go about doing that? So basically what we want to do is we want to take this, where is it? Our current supply is an integer, and what we want to do is count up to that integer and basically take that range of integers leading up to it and make a big array of that, and then loop through that and find who's the owner of each one. So to do that, we're going to use a handy JavaScript trick. So let's come over to our browser and then clear my terminal here. So what we can do is say array, and then pass in the number 10. And what we can do is say dot keys, and that gives us this array iterator. We can turn this into a spread operator and get the numbers 0 through 9. So basically it's giving us 10 elements, 0 indexed. What we're going to want, so let's say that our current supply is 9 like it is, right? What we're actually going to want to do is count from 1 to 9, not 0 to 8. So we're going to say 9 plus 1, and then we'll say like array equals this, and then we'll say array dot shift. And then if we look at our array now, you can see we have 1 through 9. So we're basically going to use this trick in our React app to get a list of integers, and then we're going to loop through those. Okay, so let's go back and write that function. And I'm just going to write it right here. We're going to say, what should we call this? We should call this NFT IDs, maybe. And we'll just say let IDs equal this dot state dot current supply. And again, what we want to do is say an array with a spread operator, array, pass this in, +1, and then dot keys, like this. We might want to make sure we parse int here, because I think it's possible this could be a string at some point, and we just want to be sure that it's not. And then we'll say IDs.shift, not shirt, IDs.shift, and then we'll just return IDs. Okay, so that basically gets what we want. So let's come down here and let's say, how can we do this? What we can do is something along the lines of NFT IDs, this.NFT IDs.bind this, I think is how I need to call that. I might need to call it. It's been a minute since I've used this class style. I'm actually going to write a new component in a second, and we're not going to use this style because it's driving me nuts. But let's do .map, and we'll pass in the ID here, and then we'll just return like a, I'm going to just try to pass it all like straight in here. Let's do a TR, and then we'll have a TD, which has the ID in it, and then an empty TD with nothing in it right now. Let's see if that works or not. No, this dot bind is not a function. Let me just try to call it. I'm gonna have to actually call it then. Okay. All right, cool. So that actually does work. So now we get 1 through 9 here. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is actually bump this into a proper component, and we're going to use the new function style because this is driving me nuts right now because I haven't used it in forever. And then we will actually call out to the contract for each one of our components and ask for the owner. Okay, so let's create a new directory over here, new folder called components. And then in here, I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call this owner or NFT row.js maybe. I'm going to import React, and then we're going to have use state and use effect from React. Not what I wanted to do. Then we're just going to have function NFT row. It's going to take in props. And then we're going to export default NFT row. And to start and sanity check, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this exactly. And we're going to paste this here. We're going to return this. This is going to say props.id. And then over here, what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to import NFT row from components NFT row. And then what we're going to do is come down here and we're going to say NFT row ID equals ID. Close it off and save. And let's go see if it's working. Okay, cool. So now we have the exact same list and we're good to go. Okay, so what I want to do is first of all, what I need to do is pass in my contract, right? So, and this is actually, I should stick with the same naming. Instance equals instance. I'm wondering if I actually need to, I need to say this dot state dot instance here. And then over here, I'll have my instance in whenever I load. So what I can do now is I can say use effect, and we're going to create an anonymous function here. And we only want to do this when it loads, so we're just going to pass in an empty array. We'll console.log props.instance. And let's go see what we get logged out. Undefined. Props.instance. Okay, so I might be getting this rendered for, let me actually remove this array and see what I get. I get undefined 9 times. You know what? I think I have the naming backwards. I think that they call it contract in the state, not instance. Yeah, I don't like this naming at all. I understand why they did it, because they want you to see the difference between capital C contract and realize that it's an instance of that contract. But this is just kind of weird. I don't know. They should have just called it contract, whatever. So let's call it contract. Contract. Okay, and then over here, let's log out the contract. And I'm going to remove some logging that we have going on. Where is it? Console.log event. I'm going to remove that so it's a little bit easier for us to see what's going on. Okay, cool. So now we have our contract instance. Okay, so all we want to do is get the owner from the contract and print it out. So it should be pretty straightforward. Back over in our NFT row, let's format this correctly. Really, it should just be hitting enter a couple of times. Okay, and then what we want to do basically is just have owner right here. So we're going to use the use state. So we're going to say const owner set owner equals use state, and I'm going to start off with it being just an empty string. So if we save that, it'll just be the same. TR cannot appear as a child of table, and I don't have a unique key. Really quick, let's fix this. Let's say this should be T head. Okay, let's move this up. And then here we'll have T body like that. And then we'll move this up and tab that in. And then they're complaining because we don't have a key. So we can just say key is ID like that. And now we shouldn't get all the whining. Okay, cool. So we don't need to console.log now. And we have our owner set there. What we want to do is on the initial brush with this. So what I want to do is say, I'm assuming I can't, well, am I going to get a nil contract ever here? Let me actually go back and log out my, well, let's do this. Let's put that there, and let's console.log props.contract on the initial load. And it looks like for all of them they're present, so I don't think we'll have any timing issues. React throws me off sometimes. I'm a little bit newer to the React side. I kind of begrudgingly started using React because it's my favorite framework of all the JavaScript frameworks, but I like Ruby and Python and stuff like that a little bit better, but pretty much everything on the front end is is Web3, or for Web3 is JavaScript, so you kind of got to do it. Okay, so we're almost done with this. So what we need to do now is we're going to call this function, I'm just going to call load, not that, load. And the reason we're going to have a function here is because what we need to do is pull in information from the contract. And what we could, I guess, do actually is, you know what? Let's try this. Can we make this async? I haven't tried this. I wonder if that makes sense. Let's try it. So what we want to do is say let owner, let's say const owner equals, and then we'll do await and this dot props dot contract dot methods dot owner of, and then we'll pass in props dot id dot call, and then we'll do set owner. Let's see if that works. I haven't tried to do an async function like that, but yeah, that looks like it works just fine. Now the thing I'm curious about is if I mint another frog, will the state update immediately or what? Confirm. No. So what's the error? Looks like you wrote use effect async. Instead, write the async function inside your effect and call it immediately. Okay, so it does not like that. So what we can do is, I'm not gonna do the style they said. I'm gonna do const load equals async. Like, I prefer to have like a named function than like an anonymous function that calls itself personally. So we'll paste that there, and then we'll just do load like that. Okay, so now we have all 10 coming in. An effect function must not return anything besides a function. Okay. It looks like you wrote use effect. Oh, I still have my async in here. I'm getting that warning still. Okay, oops, here we go. All right, let me try that again and see if I get all those problems, because I think there were multiple errors in there. So yeah, I think probably basically what's happening here is that there's a problem with the timing. So the function's executing. The event is coming back to us via the WebSockets, I believe, before the chain has updated. I think that's the problem we were running into last time, which is why we had to add the little hack here. So what I'm going to do is say, I'm going to add a try, and then we're going to do that. And then above this, what I'm going to do is say let owner equal string. And then here we're going to say owner equals that catch, and then we'll just say owner equals pending. This is not going to be a very satisfying solution to this for the moment, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. Okay, so let's mint a frog, and let's just confirm it. And so we have pending, and you can see that we have this JSON error here. What we could do is basically call this recursively. So we could say set interval, and then we could call, how can we do this? So we'll wait like 2 seconds, and then we'll just call load again. Let's try this. This could be interesting. So if we call mint frog, confirm, it's pending, wait a couple seconds, boom. So mint frog, confirm, pending. Now we have our address. I think it's just a timing issue. I think that's what was going on in the last episode too. So now we can mint frogs, and we're showing them in the index on the screen. So that's pretty handy. The very last thing I want to do is add a select option with the number of frogs you want to mint, and I think I can knock this out really fast, so I don't even want to worry with trying to make a new episode for it. So if we do like select, and then we have like option, what the heck? I haven't written a manual select tag in forever. I've always used like Rails helpers or whatever. So let's just Google HTML select tag. HTML select tag. Give me this. And we'll paste that there and modify it to our needs. Okay, so this is going to be, the name is count. I don't think I need any of this stuff. What we're going to have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to duplicate this a bunch of times. And we'll have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then what we want to do here is say on change equals, and we'll do something we haven't written yet, but we'll say set quantity. And then what we can do is say value equals quantity. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, actually, I just realized I am in the old school thing here, so we just need to say this dot set quantity, and then we probably need to say bind this, and this needs to be this dot state dot quantity. And then what we need to do is in our state up here on load, we need to set the default quantity to 1, and let's save that and see what it looks like. Okay, so we're getting an error, cannot read properties of undefined bind this. So that must be because I have not defined the function. So we'll say set quantity, and we'll just call it like that, and then see if I still have the error. Okay, so now I have a drop down with 10 things, and if I set this quantity to like 5, let's see if it loads with 5. Yep. So what I want to do is when I go to purchase, I need to do the following. I need to say price, let's do let price equal 0.05 times this dot state dot quantity. And I guess I could extract the quantity here and then just call it quantity. And then this, I need to pass in a string price. Okay, so let's save that and then have a look. Now if I try to mint, we should see that it's 0.25 instead of 0.05. Okay, cool. So it's charging me 0.25, and if I confirm, we should go all the way out to 19. Now we haven't tried the socket events on this, so this may go haywire, but let's see. Yeah, so it didn't actually load everything. It didn't actually, it charged us, but it did not pass in the actual correct quantity. So what we need to do here is actually pass in parse int. Oh, it's already a integer, I think. Okay, let's try that again. So now we have 15, so minting should get us to 20. Okay, let's confirm. Oh, look at that. They all came in, and then we get all the addresses. So you can buy 5 at a time. Now we just need to get our set quantity to work. So what we need to do, and again, I'm a little bit out of touch with this, but if we say console.log this dot, how do I even do this? What I want to do is probably pass in the current value somehow. Let me check. Okay, so quick Googling just reminded me of some basic JavaScript that I had suddenly forgotten. So what we need to do is pass in the event, and then we need to console.log the event.target.value here. So we'll save that, and we'll come back and refresh. Let's change this to 8, and we'll see that we get 8. So now all we need to do is, so we'll say this dot set state event, and we'll pass in quantity event dot target dot value. Okay, and let's see what happens. So if we start off with, so if we change this to 10, and then we try to mint, it should be charging us 0.5. Okay, transaction error, exception thrown. Oh, it's because our max is 20, so we can't actually go above. But if we try to mint 1, we'll probably also get a transaction error, so we have 0.05. So we've hit our limit. In our contract, we said we only want to allow there to be 20, so that's the limit, so we can't mint any more. So it's good to see that it works, and we also see our pricing works. So obviously, this isn't fancy at all, but we have everything hooked up. So what I'm going to start on in the next episode is actually trying to generate the images and pull those in. I'm going to work out some kind of simple user interface and get this ready for prime time. I'm actually going to release this project into the wild and see if it works out, see if anybody wants to buy any, just to kind of have the experience under my belt. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so we need to make this look better because right now it looks like junk, and we also need to hook it up to the Aleph service that we had been building, that generates and stores those files. So we're going to start on that in the next episode. So this was a little bit of a longer episode, but we got a lot done. So I'm happy about that, and I'll see you in the next one.